You think you're stuck, but you're not. Right now, Allah is holding something just inches from your life, and you have no idea the war He's fighting to keep it from hurting you. You've been calling it a delay, but when you see what was hidden behind it, you'll fall into sujood in tears, asking Him to forgive you for ever questioning the weight. 1. Allah removes the wrong pieces before placing the right ones. Sometimes the delay has nothing to do with the time on the clock. It's not because the calendar isn't ready. It's because you aren't standing in the right place yet. And it's because the ground you're standing on is cluttered with things that would crush the very blessing you're praying for. Think about it. You wouldn't build a home on land full of broken glass, weeds, and poison. You'd clear it first. You'd remove the sharp pieces that could hurt you later. You'd take out the roots of weeds that would steal the water from the plants you want to grow. Allah does the same with your life. So before He places the thing you've been begging for, He starts clearing. Sometimes He clears it by removing a person you thought would be there forever. You notice their calls slow down, their energy changes, and before you know it, they've drifted out of your story, and it hurts. It feels like betrayal. It feels like you've been abandoned at the exact time you needed them. But what if Allah saw the day they would have turned on you? What if He saw the conversation they would have had behind your back? What if He knew they would have stood between you and the blessing He was sending? Sometimes He clears it by removing an opportunity you thought was your big break. You applied for the job. You worked for the promotion. You thought the door was wide open until, overnight, it slammed shut. And you sat there staring at it, wondering, why now? Why me? But what if Allah saw the environment behind that door? The people who would have played with your morals, the habits you would have picked up that could have destroyed your deen slowly without you even realizing. Sometimes He clears it by keeping you in a season you thought was over. You're ready to move cities, ready to start over, ready to flip the page. But the page doesn't turn. Every time you push forward, it's like you're being held in place, and you wonder if you've been forgotten. But what if Allah knew that the place you wanted to go was about to be hit with a hardship? What if He knew the timing was off, and that sending you there now would put you in harm's way? We don't like the clearing. We fight it. We cry over it. We replay the moments in our heads and think, if only I had done this differently, maybe I could have kept it. But what we don't see is that empty hands are the only hands ready to receive. And sometimes Allah has to empty your life of what you think you need to make space for what you actually need. He's not removing just to remove. He's removing so that when the blessing arrives, it doesn't have to fight for space with the things that were quietly killing you. It can land in the center of your life, untouched by jealousy, unshaken by competition, free from hidden harm. And here's the thing, the rearranging rarely feels holy in the moment. It feels messy, it feels confusing, it feels unfair. But one day, you'll stand in the middle of the life you once prayed for, and you'll realize every single removal was a piece of the delivery. Every goodbye was protection. Every closed door was mercy. Every loss was actually a clearing. And without that clearing, the blessing wouldn't have fit. 2. The blessing needs a safer path to reach you. Sometimes the thing you've been asking Allah for is not stuck. It's simply traveling. It's moving toward you, but Allah is guiding it along a road you cannot see. And that road still has dangers along it. You might think, if it's mine, why not give it to me now? But what if it has to pass through people who aren't ready to carry it yet? What if it has to pass through a season in your life where it would land in chaos instead of peace? What if it has to pass through places that would damage it before it reached you? Allah is not careless with His gifts. When He sends something valuable, He protects it. And sometimes that protection looks like a long detour. Imagine a priceless jewel being transported. Would anyone send it through a dark alley full of thieves? Would they hand it to someone careless who might drop it? No, they would take the longer route, the one with guards, the one where it stays safe every step of the way. Your blessing is more precious than that. It's tied to your deen, your peace, your akira, so Allah makes sure it doesn't travel in unsafe company. Maybe the person meant to deliver it is still holding on to pride. If the blessing passed through them today, they'd claim the credit. They'd say it was their doing, their generosity, their power, so Allah delays. He humbles them. He reshapes their heart until they can hand it to you without poisoning it with ego. Maybe the workplace or community that will hold your blessing is unstable right now. Corruption is still in the system. There are people with hidden agendas waiting to twist anything good into something selfish. If your blessing arrived there today, it would be swallowed up. So, Allah holds it back until the ground is safer. Maybe the blessing itself is still growing. You think it's ready, but Allah knows if you saw it now, you'd only be seeing half of what He's preparing. It would be like picking fruit before it's ripe. It might look fine, but inside it would be bitter. So He keeps it hidden, letting it sweeten, letting it grow layers you'll thank Him for later. And then there's the road inside you. Yes, you are part of the path too. If your inner road is blocked with distractions, potholes of doubt, and detours of bad habits, then the blessing can't travel smoothly into your life. Even if it arrived, it wouldn't settle. It would slip through your fingers. So Allah works on clearing you. He strips away the things that fight for your attention. He takes you through seasons of quiet, where your focus sharpens. He removes people whose voices would drown out His guidance. It feels like isolation, but it's insulation wrapping your soul so the blessing has a safe place to land. And here's the hardest truth to swallow. If Allah sent it too soon, it wouldn't feel like a blessing. It would feel like a burden, because it would come with strings, debts, or dangers you couldn't see. Think of the stories you've heard, people who got what they prayed for, only to realize it was too heavy to carry in that season. The job that crushed their health, the relationship that stole their peace, the success that drowned them in pride. Allah refuses to do that to you, so He sends it the long way. While you wait, He's building bridges where there were none. He's strengthening the road so it doesn't collapse under the weight of your blessing. He's placing guards at every turn, making sure that when it finally reaches you, it's untouched by harm. This is why the moment it arrives, it often feels almost perfect. The timing makes sense. The way it comes feels smooth. You realize you didn't have to push doors open, they just unlocked themselves. And when you look back, you'll see why every no along the way was really a not through here. Why every delay was really a detour around a storm you didn't even know was coming. That's the thing about Allah's delivery. He doesn't just give you the blessing, He delivers it clean. He delivers it with its barakah intact. He delivers it at the moment when you can hold it without fear, without pride, without loss. So if it feels like it's taking forever, remind yourself, it's not just coming, it's coming safely. And when it does, you'll see that the wait wasn't empty. It was the very reason you can enjoy it without regret. 3. Your heart must be ready before your life changes. Sometimes, what you're waiting for is not delayed because of the world outside you. It's delayed because of the world inside you. We forget. Allah is not just preparing the blessing. He's preparing you to meet it, to carry it, to guard it, to not lose yourself in it. We say, Ya Allah, I'm ready. Give it to me now. But Allah sees the cracks in the foundation of your heart. He sees the wounds you've been ignoring. He sees the fears you've been covering up with ambition. And He knows if He put that blessing in your hands today, it might not last. It might slip right through your fingers. Not because you're unworthy, but because you're unready. So he takes you into the workshop of the soul. And that workshop isn't always comfortable. There are seasons where he strips things away. You lose people you leaned on. You lose roles you found your identity in. You lose habits that felt like home. And you feel exposed. Like the walls you built to protect yourself have been taken down. But what if those walls were actually keeping the blessing out? What if you needed to be this bare, this open, so that when the blessing knocks, there's nothing blocking the door? There are seasons where he keeps you in stillness. No new opportunities, no movement, the same days, the same routines, the same unanswered du'as. And you think, why is nothing changing? But in stillness, your heart has time to heal without new wounds being made. In stillness, you can hear the whispers of Allah's guidance, whispers you'd miss in a storm. There are seasons where he sends you discomfort, work that drains you, surroundings that don't match your dreams, tests that stretch your patience. You want out, but Allah keeps you there. Why? Because pressure shapes. A diamond doesn't form in comfort. It forms under heat. And then there's the healing. We don't like this part. Because healing isn't soft music and warm sunlight. It's facing the hurt we've been running from. It's realizing some of our prayers aren't being answered because our hearts are still holding grudges. It's admitting that sometimes we want the blessing more to prove ourselves to people than to please Allah. So Allah slows the delivery. He gives you small mirrors, moments that force you to see yourself. The way you react to disappointment. The way you treat others when you're tired. The way your faith wavers when things don't go your way. And he works on those places quietly. Maybe you wanted marriage, but he knew your patience was short. Your tongue was quick to wound. Your ego still demanded control. So he kept you single, not to punish you, but to train you in compassion, communication, humility. Maybe you wanted wealth, but he knew your heart still tied its worth to what you owned, still feared losing more than it loved giving. So he kept you in enough to live, but not enough to forget him, until your heart learned that money is a servant, not a master. Maybe you wanted leadership, but he knew your pride still whispered louder than your sincerity. So he made you follow first to understand service before power. And here's the hardest truth. The blessing itself might be heavy. Yes, heavy. We imagine blessings as light, but they can come with weight. Marriage can test your patience daily. Wealth can tempt your generosity or your greed. Leadership can test your humility with every decision. If your heart is weak, that weight will crush you. If your heart is steady, that weight will strengthen you. That's why Allah keeps you in training. Training in patience when people test you. Training in gratitude when days feel ordinary. Training in tawakkul when you can't see the outcome. And slowly, you change. You stop begging for the blessing to come immediately. You start asking Allah to make you ready for it. Your du'as shift from, Ya Allah, give me, to, Ya Allah, prepare me. One day, without warning, you'll feel it. Your hands are steady, your chest is calm, your heart isn't racing with desperation. That's when the blessing comes. And it arrives without the panic of, what if I lose it? Because now you know, it was never yours by accident. And when you look back, you'll realize the waiting was not empty time. It was the most important part of the journey. It was the season where Allah removed the fragility, built the strength, healed the wounds, deepened the faith. The blessing was never the goal. The transformation was. So if you're in that season now, don't waste it in resentment. Don't fill it with comparison, scrolling through the lives of people who seem to have what you want. Use it. Let it make you into the person who can hold what you're praying for without fear, without arrogance, without forgetting Allah. Because when that day comes, when the blessing is in your hands, you'll understand. It wasn't delayed. It was delivering you to the moment you could finally hold it. 4. The delay is a shield you can't see. You think nothing is happening. You think Allah is ignoring you. You think He's forgotten. But what if the thing you've been crying for, begging for, staying up at night for, is not far from you at all? What if it's right at the edge of your life? So close it could arrive in a single phone call, a single meeting, a single yes? And yet, Allah keeps holding it back. Not because He's cruel, not because you're unworthy, not because your dua hasn't reached Him, but because the road it's coming through is not safe yet. And Allah Al-Hafid, the protector, will never send you something precious down a path that could ruin it or ruin you. We think delays are a pause in our story. But what if they are not pauses at all? What if they are shields? What if every not yet is Allah standing between you and something that could break your heart in ways you could never recover from? What if that door you've been trying to open is not locked to keep you out, but locked to keep harm in? Allah tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:216, it may be that you dislike something while it is good for you, and it may be that you love something while it is bad for you. Allah knows, and you do not know. Those last words, Allah knows, and you do not know, they are the shield we forget about, because we see with human eyes. We see the now, we see the appearance. Allah sees the unseen. He hears the conversations you weren't part of. He reads the hearts you cannot read. He sees the future you cannot imagine. And when you understand that, you stop measuring love from Allah by how quickly He gives, and start recognizing His love in what He holds back. Sometimes the shield is from people. You meet someone and think, this is it. This is the one. This is the friend, the partner, the person I've been waiting for. They seem kind. They speak the right words. They show you attention you haven't felt in years. You start building the future in your mind. You start imagining what it would be like to walk beside them in every chapter of your life. And then it shifts. The calls slow down. The replies become shorter. The tone changes. Something in your gut tells you, this isn't what it seemed to be. The plan collapses. The connection fades. And you're left staring at the ceiling at night asking, why would you bring them into my life if you were only going to take them away? It feels like rejection. It feels like loss. It feels like a cruel game. But what if Allah saw what you couldn't? What if He saw loyalty that would vanish the moment they were tested? What if He saw a version of them that smiled in your presence, but tore your name apart in your absence? What if He saw the day they would pull you away from Him, and He decided, not my servant, not this heart, not now. That is the shield. It doesn't feel like a shield when it's in place. It feels like emptiness. It feels like a door slamming in your face. But what you didn't see was what it stopped. The betrayal that never reached you. The heartbreak that never had the chance to begin. The slow, quiet drift away from Allah that you might never have noticed until it was too late. Sometimes that person's role in your life was only to wake something up inside you. And the second their presence threatened your soul's safety, Allah removed them. Not because He wanted you lonely, but because He wanted you safe. Sometimes the shield is from a place. It's a city you've dreamed about for years. You've watched videos, read articles, even imagined what your daily life would look like there. Every picture in your mind feels right. You tell yourself, if I could just get there, I'd finally feel alive. So you chase it. You research how to move. You apply for jobs there. You pray every night, Ya Allah, open this door for me. And then, nothing. Emails go unanswered. Applications are declined. The door stays locked. At first, you tell yourself it's bad luck. Then you wonder if you're just not good enough. But what if that door is shut? because Allah sees what's on the other side. What if that city is about to face a hardship that would test you to your breaking point? What if the environment there would have slowly pulled you away from your faith? Not with a loud, obvious push, but with a quiet drip of distraction and temptation, until one day you woke up and realized your heart was dry. What if the people you thought would become your community would have become the ones to hurt you most? Allah's shield doesn't just block pain you can see. It blocks pain you don't even know exists yet. It's the same with jobs. You see the position you want. It offers stability, prestige, more money than you've ever made. You imagine the freedom it will give you. You tell yourself, if I had this job, all my problems would be over. You apply. You get interviews. It looks promising. And then, silence. You feel crushed. You tell yourself, maybe I said something wrong. Maybe I wasn't impressive enough. But what if Allah saw the office politics you couldn't? What if He saw the colleagues who would have dragged your name through the mud to get ahead? What if He saw how the stress of that environment would have worn down your health, your relationships, your connection with Him? Sometimes, the place you're begging for is a battlefield in disguise, and Allah will not send you into a war you don't need to fight. And sometimes, the shield is from timing itself. The blessing might be perfect. The opportunity might be exactly what you need. The person might be exactly who you've been praying for. But if it came now, the season would swallow it. If it came now, it would collide with other events in your life and turn what should be joy into stress. It would arrive before you had the space to protect it. It would arrive while your hands were still full of the wrong things. So Allah holds it back. It's like rain. Rain is a blessing, but even rain can destroy if it comes at the wrong time, on soil that isn't ready, on seeds that aren't planted. Your blessing is like that. If it comes in the wrong season, it won't grow. It might even wash away what's already there. So Allah delays it, not because He's denying you, but because He's aligning you. And here's the thing about shields. When they're in front of you, you can't see what they're blocking. If arrows are flying at you in a battle, you only feel the weight of the shield in your hand. You don't see the arrow, it just stopped from piercing your chest. Delays are like that. All you feel is the weight of waiting. All you see is what you don't have yet. But you don't see the accident He kept you from. You don't see the betrayal that never reached you. You don't see the storm that passed by while you were stuck. Sometimes, the shield is not from people. It's not from places. It's not even from timing. Sometimes, the shield is from you. From the version of you that exists right now. From the parts of your heart that still aren't ready to hold what you're asking for. From the desires in you that, if fed too soon, could eat away at your soul. Allah knows you better than you know yourself. He knows the thoughts you haven't admitted. He knows the weaknesses you keep ignoring. He knows the temptations that would pull you under if they crossed your path today. And so, He shields you from your own unready self. Maybe you've been asking for wealth. If Allah gave it to you right now, your heart might still attach your worth to what's in your bank account. You might still measure your value by your possessions instead of your piety. And slowly, without noticing, you'd start loving the gift more than the giver. So He holds it back, not to keep you struggling, but to make sure that when you receive it, it will serve you, not enslave you. Maybe you've been asking for a certain relationship. If Allah gave it to you right now, you might make it your entire identity. You might wrap your joy, your peace, your sense of self-worth around that person until the day they falter, and your whole life collapses with them. So He holds it back, not to keep you lonely, but to make sure you stand so firmly on Him that when you do love someone, you can love them without losing yourself. Maybe you've been asking for influence, a platform, a voice, an audience. If Allah gave it to you right now, you might still be vulnerable to pride. You might still need people's praise to feel secure. You might let flattery guide you instead of truth. So He holds it back, not to keep you unseen, but to make sure that when people finally hear your voice, it's His message that comes through, not your egos. And here's where the battlefield analogy comes alive. Picture yourself in the middle of a war. Arrows are flying from every direction. Some you can see, some you can't. In your hands is a shield. It's heavy. It slows you down. Your arms ache from carrying it. Part of you wants to throw it aside just to feel free again. But that shield is the only reason you're still standing. You can't see every arrow it stops. You don't notice every strike it absorbs. All you feel is its weight. But without it, those arrows would have pierced straight through you. Allah's delay works the same way. Right now, you might only feel the heaviness of waiting. You might only see what you don't have, but you don't see what His shield has stopped. Vina. The friendship that would have turned into betrayal. The opportunity that would have drained your soul. The path that would have led you to regret. You don't see it, but you're still here because of it. One of the most beautiful and humbling things about Allah's shield is that you often don't recognize it while it's up. You only see it in hindsight. Years later, when the dust has settled, when you've walked a little further down the road of life and can finally see the curve you couldn't see before, you look back and the things that once kept you up at night, crying into your pillow, wondering why Allah didn't give them to you, suddenly make perfect sense. You remember the person you thought was your future. You remember how you begged Allah to make it work. And now, you see where they are. You see the choices they made. You see the path they walked down, and you whisper to yourself, Ya Allah, you saved me. You remember the job that turned you down. At the time, you felt humiliated. You replayed the interview in your head 100 times. You thought you had ruined your own chance. But now, you hear the stories from people who worked there. You see how toxic the environment was. You hear about the way it broke them, drained them, turned them into shadows of who they used to be. And you realize what you thought was a closed door was actually a door sealed shut with mercy. And here's where the shield becomes even more powerful. Because sometimes, Allah isn't just protecting your dunya, He's protecting your akhirah. We often judge blessings only by how they make our worldly life look. We think, if it makes me comfortable, it must be good. If it makes me struggle, it must be bad. But what if that comfortable thing would have made you forget Allah? What if that easy path would have kept you too busy to pray? What if that dream come true would have attached your heart so tightly to the dunya that you stopped preparing for the only home that matters? That is not a blessing, that is a trap. And Allah will not hand you a trap. Maybe the relationship you wanted would have made you so content in the wrong ways that your iman would have quietly weakened, month by month, year by year, until one day you realized you didn't feel close to Allah anymore. Maybe the job you wanted would have tied your schedule in knots until your salah became rushed, your Quran collected dust, your heart forgot what stillness felt like. Maybe the dream you had for yourself would have become your God, the thing you thought about more than you thought about the one who gave you life. So He shields you, and because He loves you more than you can imagine, He doesn't mind if you're upset with Him in the moment. Just like a parent doesn't mind their child crying when they're pulled away from a busy road. The child might think, "Why won't you let me go?" But the parent is thinking, "I'd rather have you cry now than be hurt forever." That's Allah's mercy. He lets you ache for something that isn't ready. He lets you wait longer than you wanted. He lets you walk away from what you thought was yours. and He takes the blame in your heart, knowing that one day you'll look back and thank Him for saving you. One day you will look back at this exact moment in your life, the waiting, the questions, the ache, and you will see it differently. You'll see that it was never wasted time. You'll see that it was never a pause in your story. It was a chapter of protection, a chapter where Allah stood between you and 1,000 unseen harms. A chapter where His not yet was really His not through this road. A chapter where He loved you too much to let you walk into a fire you couldn't see. You'll remember the doors that stayed shut, and you'll realize they were walls built for your safety. You'll remember the people who left, and you'll realize their absence was Allah's mercy in disguise. You'll remember the dreams that didn't happen when you wanted, and you'll realize their delay was the reason you could handle them when they finally arrived. So the next time you find yourself standing in front of a closed door, fingers aching to turn the handle, heart begging for it to open, remember, it might not be shut because you don't deserve what's inside. It might be shut because what's inside doesn't deserve you. And when the shield finally drops, when Allah says, "Now, it's safe," you'll walk through that door and realize the weight was never empty. It was the barrier that saved you. From heartbreak, from regret, from dangers you didn't even know existed. And in that moment, you'll whisper, not, "Why did you delay me?" but, "Ya Allah, thank you for protecting me." 5. Some people must heal before they can meet you. The reason you haven't met the person you've been praying for, the spouse, the friend, the teacher, the guide, is not because Allah is ignoring your dua, but because they're still healing. We are so quick to think the delay is about us. We look inward and wonder, am I not ready? Am I not enough? Did I miss my chance? And yes, sometimes Allah is working on your heart, but other times, He is working on theirs. They might be walking through storms you can't see, storms they've told no one about, storms that feel like they will never end. They might still be tied to situations. Allah is slowly, gently, untying knot by knot, because He knows if those knots remain, they will strangle what He is planning to give you both. And if Allah sent them to you right now, you would meet them half-finished. You would meet them mid-battle. You would meet them with wounds still open, with hands that aren't steady enough to hold you. And what was written to be a blessing could end up being another wound. Allah loves you too much to let that happen, so He waits. He keeps the two of you apart until they are strong enough, clear enough, healed enough to meet you without harming you, and until you are steady enough to meet them without fearing their past. Think about this. What if your future spouse is learning to pray right now? Not because they didn't care about Allah before, but because life distracted them, because hurt made them drift, because nobody ever showed them how gentle the return to Him could be. And what if Allah is giving them this season to rebuild their relationship with Him, so that when they walk into your life, they lead you toward Him, not away from Him? What if your future best friend, the one who will understand you in ways no one else does, is still deep in the middle of their own heartbreak? What if Allah is letting them walk all the way through it, because that heartbreak will give them the exact empathy you will need from them later? If you met them before the storm, they might not understand your pain. They might say the wrong words or stay silent when you need them to speak. But after the storm, after they've felt the same ache, they will sit beside you in yours and know exactly what to say and exactly when to say nothing at all. What if the teacher, mentor, or guide you've been asking Allah to send, the one who will unlock the next chapter of your growth, it is still being taught the lesson they will one day pass to you? If they met you too soon, they would only have half the wisdom they're meant to give you. And half wisdom, delivered too early, can do more harm than no wisdom at all. You see, Divine timing is not just about you being ready, it is about mutual readiness. Two separate journeys with their own tests, their own detours, their own heartbreaks, their own healing, finally aligning at the exact moment when both hearts can recognize each other. If Allah rushed this, you might meet too early. And instead of building each other up, you might become part of each other's tests. You might misread each other. You might take offense where you should have shown patience. You might walk away thinking it wasn't written, when in reality, it was just too soon. So Allah slows it down. He takes them through their own heartbreaks, the kind that strip away pride and teach humility. He humbles them through losses they didn't choose. He strengthens them through nights where the only one listening is Him. He shapes their character through people who test their patience, and teaches them gentleness through the people who are not gentle with them. And while all of this is happening to them, something is happening to you too. Because the wait is not just for them to heal, it's for you to keep growing. You are also being shaped into the person they need to meet. Allah is making sure that when you finally meet, you meet as whole as you can be. Not perfect, but whole enough that your wounds don't bleed onto each other. Whole enough that your love, friendship, or guidance comes from a place of strength, not desperation. This is why sometimes Allah keeps the two of you apart for years. Because years from now, you will look back and realize, if we had met earlier, we wouldn't have understood each other. We wouldn't have valued each other. We might have even ruined what was meant to be beautiful. And here's something most people don't realize. Sometimes their healing is tied to things only time can give. You cannot rush someone into maturity. You cannot speed up someone's life lessons. You cannot force someone to shed their pride, their fears, their pain before they are ready. Some things are learned only through living, through failing, through trying again, through nights of crying until dawn, through moments of finally letting go. Allah knows exactly how much time they need and exactly how much time you need, so that when your paths finally cross, it feels natural. It doesn't feel forced. You don't have to beg them to choose you, and they don't have to beg you to trust them. It just fits, because Allah wrote it that way. And when that moment comes, you will see it. You will see why the delay was mercy, why the silence was protection, why the distance was a blessing. You will see that Allah was not just answering your dua, He was answering theirs too. And in His wisdom, He made sure you both arrived to the meeting point, ready to protect what He was giving you. So if you are still waiting, don't just pray for them to come quickly. Pray for them to heal completely. Pray for Allah to give them the strength to close the doors behind them and the clarity to recognize you when He sends you into their life. Because when that day comes, you won't just be meeting a person, you'll be meeting the proof that Allah's timing is perfect. 6. The timing has to match the season of your life. You are not in the wrong story. You are simply in the wrong chapter of it. And that chapter is not a mistake, it's part of the design. We confuse these two all the time. We see others living a scene that we want, and we think, if Allah wanted this for me, He would have given it to me by now. But here's the truth. Even what is already written for you can arrive too early if you try to take it before Allah sends it. Because every blessing has a season, and seasons cannot be rushed without loss. A blessing is like a seed. If you plant it in the wrong weather, if you drop it into soil that hasn't been prepared, if storms are gathering on the horizon, it won't grow. Even the best seed will rot if the season is wrong. Allah is the master of seasons. He knows when the soil of your life can hold the blessing and when the soil will choke it. He knows the moment when the sun will be kind and the moment when the wind will protect rather than destroy. Right now, you might be in a season of building, But you're asking for a season of harvesting, and Allah knows if He gave you the harvest now, it wouldn't last. Because the roots aren't deep enough. Because the fences around your heart aren't strong enough to protect it. Because the land you're standing on still needs clearing before anything can grow there. Think of a farmer. He does not plant in the dead of winter, no matter how desperate he feels to see green. He does not pull the crop before it's ripe, no matter how hungry he feels for the taste of it. He waits even when the waiting feels endless, because he knows planting in the wrong season isn't just unwise, it's fatal to what he's growing. Your life works the same way. Maybe you're asking for marriage, but you're still in a season where your priorities are scattered, your patience is thin. Your heart is still tied to things you'll have to let go of before you can give yourself fully to someone else. If Allah gave it to you now, you might see it as a burden instead of a gift. Maybe you're asking for wealth, but your habits are not disciplined yet. If the money came today, it might feed the part of you that's careless instead of the part of you that's grateful. Maybe you're asking for your dream job, your dream move, your dream project, but you're still in a season of learning, not launching. You want the stage before you've learned the script. You want the responsibility before you've built the strength to carry it. And here's the painful truth. If Allah gave it to you too soon, you might lose it too soon. We hate hearing that. We think, I can handle it now. I'm ready. But readiness is not about desire. It's about alignment. And alignment takes time. Your season right now is doing more for you than you think. Even the boring days, even the repeated tests, even the nothing's changing stretches of life. Because seasons aren't random. Winter teaches you patience. Spring teaches you hope. Summer teaches you endurance. Autumn teaches you how to let go. Your current season might be building the exact skills your next one will demand. And if you skip this one, you'll walk into the next unprepared. Sometimes Allah will not let the season change until you've passed the quiet test in front of you. The test of trusting Him when nothing seems to move. The test of being grateful before the gift comes. The test of staying consistent even when no one is watching. And then, when the shift comes, it often happens overnight. One phone call, one meeting, one conversation. One moment where the door that's been locked for years suddenly swings open. It will feel sudden, but it wasn't. It was built quietly, behind the scenes, in the season you thought was wasted. When the blessing comes in the right season, you won't have to fight to keep it alive. It will grow naturally, because the ground was ready, because you were ready. So if you're in a season right now that feels like it's holding you back, don't rush out of it. Don't wish it away so fast that you miss what it's here to give you. Because the day your season changes, you'll look back and see the very things you resented about this one were the things that made the next one possible. 7. The rearrangement is happening while you feel stuck. You look at your life and it feels frozen, like the movie has paused and no one pressed play. Every day feels like a repeat of the last. The same walls, the same street you walk, the same routine, the same unanswered du'as you keep whispering, the same heaviness when you lay down at night. You glance at the calendar and you're shocked at how much time has passed. How many months have slipped through your fingers without the big change you were praying for? And somewhere deep in your chest, a question forms. One you try not to speak out loud. Ya Allah, do you still see me? Because it's not just the waiting that hurts. It's the feeling that maybe you've been left behind. While you sit in your same chapter, you watch the people around you turning pages. They're changing jobs, they're getting married, they're buying homes, they're holding babies, they're posting their announcements, their celebrations, their finally moments. And you're still here, in the same room, in the same story, holding on to the same dream you thought would have come by now. And if you're not careful, this stillness can feel like being forgotten. You start to wonder if maybe you missed your moment. If maybe you took a wrong turn and didn't realize it. If maybe your story has slowed down so much, it won't ever speed up again. But what if the stillness isn't still at all? What if, while you think nothing is moving, Allah is moving everything? Because here's the truth you can't see yet. Rearrangement doesn't always look like progress. It doesn't always feel like momentum. It doesn't always sound like doors opening. Sometimes, rearrangement feels exactly like being stuck. Right now, you might not see the doors being unlocked in the distance. You might not see the people being moved quietly into and out of position. You might not see the hearts being softened toward you or hardened to protect you. Right now, someone you've never met might be making a decision that will one day bless your life. Right now, a conversation could be happening about you in a room you've never stepped into. Right now, a door you didn't even know existed could be swinging open quietly in the background. Right now, a path that was blocked last year might be being cleared of every obstacle so that when you finally walk it, you'll move without resistance. But because Allah works in the unseen, from where you're standing, it looks like nothing. It's like being backstage before a play. The curtain is down. You can't see the crew moving pieces into place. You can't see the lights being tested. You can't hear the cues being rehearsed. You can't see the props being set in the exact position they'll need to be in for the story to flow perfectly. It feels quiet. It feels empty. It feels boring. But the moment the curtain rises, you realize everything was being arranged for this. Your life is like that stage. Sometimes Allah keeps you in one spot because if you move too soon, you'd walk into a half-built scene. The characters wouldn't be ready. The lines wouldn't be written. The blessing wouldn't fit yet. Think of Yusuf alayhi as-salam. For years, his life looked like it had stalled, thrown into a well, sold into slavery, wrongfully imprisoned. From the outside, it looked like setback after setback, failure after failure, a story moving in the wrong direction. But outside those prison walls, Allah was shifting an entire kingdom, bringing the right people into power, planting a dream in a king's mind, building a chain of events that would place Yusuf in a position no one could have imagined. Second in command over a land he'd once been a stranger in. From Yusuf's cell, it looked like silence. From Allah's view, it was perfect strategy. That's what's happening for you. Right now, maybe Allah is moving someone out of a toxic environment so they can meet you in a healthy one, closing the wrong opportunities so you're free to take the right one without hesitation, aligning people's schedules so your path crosses theirs at the perfect moment, protecting you from stepping into something that looks safe now but would explode later. Preparing a blessing so big, it needs time for every single piece to be in the right place before it's delivered. And here's what's hardest about this season. You don't get progress updates. Allah doesn't send you a message saying, "Don't worry, we're on step 5 out of 10, your blessing is almost here." No, you're left with faith, pure faith. Faith that the silence isn't empty. Faith that the delay isn't neglect. Faith that the rearrangement is happening in ways you will only understand later. And when it's ready, it will happen quickly. One conversation, one meeting, one yes that changes years of not yet. One opportunity that feels like it came out of nowhere. But in reality, it had been making its way to you for a long, long time. This is why you can't give up in the still seasons. Because the still seasons are when Allah is building the foundation for the fast seasons. The seasons where nothing seems to be happening are often the seasons where everything is happening, just out of sight. One day, you will look back at the season you called stuck and realize it was the season where Allah moved the most. Not where you could see it, but where it mattered most. And on that day, you'll say, Ya Allah, you never left me. You were working the whole time. 8. Every not yet is Allah saying, I'm not sending this broken. The hardest answer to hear from Allah isn't no, it's not yet. Because no, at least feels final. It closes the door and lets you grieve. But not yet keeps you in a place of waiting, in a place where you can still imagine the yes, where you can still picture the blessing in your hands, but you can't touch it yet. And that gap between seeing it in your heart and holding it in your life is where most people break. But if you could see what Allah sees, you would know every not yet from Him is not neglect. It's protection, it's care, it's perfection in progress. Allah is not sending it broken. He's not sending you a marriage that's still carrying poison from the past. He's not sending you a friend whose loyalty hasn't been tested yet. He's not sending you wealth that will feed your ego more than your soul. He's not sending you an opportunity with cracks hidden under the surface. He's not sending you something that will arrive in your hands looking whole, but collapse under its own weight when you try to build on it. And sometimes, the thing He's fixing is not the blessing, it's you. Because maybe right now, if He sent it, you'd cling to it like it's your only source of joy. You'd wrap your identity around it. You'd risk making it your God without realizing. And Allah loves you too much to let you place anything above Him, even a blessing He Himself wrote for you. So He works on you while He works on it. He teaches you to stand without it, so when it comes, you won't fall apart if it ever leaves. He deepens your gratitude in the waiting, so when it comes, you'll protect its barakah instead of taking it for granted. He strengthens your sabr, so when it comes with responsibility, because every blessing comes with responsibility. You won't run from it, you'll rise to it. Think of a master craftsman working on something fragile and priceless. You might be standing at the workshop door saying, "Is it ready yet? Please, can I have it?" But the craftsman looks at you, looks back at the work, and says, "Not yet. It's not strong enough to hold its own weight. Another week, another month. Let me fix the parts that will fail you if I send it now." That's Allah with your du'as. You see the shape of the blessing in your mind and think it's ready, but Allah sees the inner parts, the hidden pieces that aren't strong enough yet, and He will never send it to you in a way that will harm you. Sometimes that means letting you watch other people get their yes while you're still holding your not yet. And that's one of the hardest tests of faith, to keep believing that your delay is as much a mercy as their speed. And here's something you need to know. The day it comes, it will make sense. The timing will make sense. The road you had to take to get there will make sense. The people you lost along the way will make sense. Even the long nights you thought were wasted will make sense. Because the blessing will arrive whole, pure, ready to be held without fear, ready to stay without constantly feeling like it's slipping away. So if you're in a not yet season right now, stop calling it a punishment. Stop treating it like silence. It's construction, it's healing, it's Allah making sure the next chapter of your life doesn't carry the same breaks as the last. And one day, you'll thank Him for every single delay, not just for the blessing He gave you, but for every single broken version of it He refused to send. Because that's love, that's mercy, that's Allah.